Well, happy Friday, everybody. My name is Ian Utilli. I'm one of the co-producers at NFT NYC, and I'm here with Avery, the president of Vayner NFT. Avery, thank you so much for joining us. Can you please introduce yourself to me and tell me a bit about Vayner NFT?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me, Ian, and thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm Avery, and I run Vayner NFT, which is VaynerX's newest offering, helping intellectual property owners navigate the wonderful world of NFTs. And delighted to be here this morning, and also very much looking forward to the NFT NYC event coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yes, we are as well. Let's talk a bit about community. Maybe we could talk about community from two perspectives. I think one perspective is that Vayner NFT is serving the Fortune 500 and the Global 2000. And so you must have a perspective toward your clients. And then Vayner NFT also has built a prototype project of how things can be done with VeeFriends. So could you touch community a little bit in terms of how you think of it when you talk to these big global clients, and how you think of it in terms of what Gary himself has been cultivating?
Absolutely. So I think community underpins anything that we do, from an NFT project perspective or a social media perspective, or really anything that Vayner is touching. We love to be listening to consumers, engaging with them. And over the past decade, Gary's built VaynerX to be all about a modern day communications engine, which is all underpinned by community. So when we think about community from the lens of the current NFT, I was, also think about it in those two ways, but maybe slightly different, is current NFT buyers and current NFT community, and then the broader subsection of the population who hasn't yet been exposed to NFTs or hasn't yet engaged with NFTs. So from a master brand, company, celebrity perspective, the vast majority of their audiences don't know anything about NFTs, and actually educating their community on what this is and why it's interesting and why this is a place where they should engage is a huge component of a successful NFT launch. Is explaining like what digital ownership means, explaining why they're excited about it. I think that's a really key communication from the creator of the project, when you're sort of more in the normie camp. But you also have to make sure you're nodding to the OGs and the people who built this, people like you, Ian, and what you all and your team have done over the past many years, and make sure that you're paying homage to the folks who have gone before. You're using innovative technology. You're doing things in the right way. You're making sure to steer clear of FUD. All of that stuff, I think, is important for the OG NFT community, and really getting their inputs as well. I think this, engaged NFT community is small but mighty, and they have a lot of perspective, which is very openly shared, which is great because you can learn from that and actually react to it and listen to the community and make changes to your project, to your roadmap, to your communication strategy in real time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, go ahead.
Well, I love the statement of honor about the OGs. I also think that, like any great athlete, you got to keep earning it. So
Absolutely.
You have to continue to be innovative. You have to continue to cultivate great community and build great platforms and great tech. Let's talk about technology and products and platforms and projects for a moment. What is the focus for you leading Vayner NFT? What's the focus for Gary in terms of what do you build in-house, and what do you use strategic partners for, and how do you make those types of different tech decisions?
Yeah. So at Vayner NFT, we're technology agnostic. We work with many different partners on many different projects, depending on what's right for the project and depending on what the objectives are. So for VeeFriends, we partnered with NFT42 on their offering, which is something we think is awesome. But we've also partnered with other marketplaces, whether it's Bitsky or OpenSea or Shopify, or soon to be Coinbase. So we believe in the power of diversity in terms of technology. Building your own thing is obviously amazing. And for a lot of projects where you're planning on investing a significant amount of your time and resources, I think custom is the way to go. But you could also use marketplace partners depending on what the objectives of your NFT are. So we like to be across all different kinds of tech. We like to experiment with different things, get our hands on different types of technology, so we can also understand what works. Because exactly like you said, what's been done before doesn't mean that's what you should do again. And we have a couple of new drops coming up with new platforms that we're excited to test and learn from and see if we can build something new and innovative that is also scalable in other projects as well.
Oh,
we don't have any in-house tech or focus on building that, but for a very specific reason.
Okay. Well, it makes sense. There's a lot of really smart people, great teams, completely committed that understand the tech really well, but there's very few people or organizations that have the ability to speak into the enterprise the way that Vayner's team does. Can we talk about the future for a moment? Now, when I ask people to project the future, I'm not asking you to be Nostradamus. I think of it like, what's a positive outcome that you'd love to see in the next couple of years? So if I say to you, NFT 2024, what type of things would you love to see develop in the industry? And what type of goals would you love to see accomplished with Vayner NFT in the next couple of years?
So I would love to see at NFT NYC 2024. I'd love to see way more people using NFTs. I think that's a critical and important and part of the growth of the ecosystem, right? Is way more users into the space. Yeah. I think that's important. I'd also like to see it be much easier for users to onboard onto NFTs. I think that's going to be critical for sort of mainstream adoption is that easier on-ramp for people. I would love to see maybe us even move away from the term NFT, the same way that we moved away from like the World Wide Web. Like if you talk to a Gen Z person about that, they'll probably be like, what is the World Wide Web, right? Maybe we'll have a new way to express that. But I think it would be about bigger community, higher adoption, and also seeing NFTs revolutionize new industries that we haven't yet seen an application for, but we know it's there. Like whether it's real estate or restaurants, we know the potential is there, but it hasn't been realized quite yet, and hopefully it will be.
Yeah, we tried lots of different alternatives to NFTs. We tried Nifties, we tried crypto collectibles, we tried digital assets. Nothing else stuck, even though NFT is maybe the strangest term, non-fungible. It's about something that isn't. It takes an explanation. On the future projection, is there an industry that you feel, or industries that you feel have the greatest possibility of taking advantage of what's before us with this technology, as you start to think, you and your team only have so much time, you can only serve so many people. So when you think about building long-term partnerships, and I think the statement around Vayner NFT is, having that long perspective on building massive value over time. Is there an industry or industries that you're most excited about, or that you feel you'd want to hedge your bets toward? And do you kind of focus on those industries specifically?
Yeah, that's another good question. We are very much like industry agnostic, but we're excited about entertainment. Today, we're excited about sports and art because I think that's there already. In collectibles, there's a lot there. But whether it's toys, whether it's real estate, restaurants, ticketing, we think there are just 1,000,001 applications of NFTs, and we're excited to be part of bringing that to life. Because there's so many industries. Music's another huge one, right? That we've seen some movement there, but not anything massive. The industry, everyone knows, needs to change in a big way. And I think NFTs can really revolutionize that. Well,
I talked with you for a long time, but we like to keep these short and shareable. So any final word? Maybe think of it, if you had all the billboards in Times Square and you could get everyone's attention, right? There's a few thousand people coming to our event, but there might be 10,000 people coming in for all the extra events. You get everybody's attention for one moment in the industry, and you could share something that you think applies to everyone. What may that final word be?
So selfishly, I'll say follow Vayner NFT on Twitter. We're trying to up our Twitter game. And secondarily, buy your first NFT. If you're listening to this and you're wondering if this is the time to get in, you're wondering if you missed the boat, you didn't, the boat hasn't even left the shipyard yet. And I'm always encouraging more people to look into this space. Of course, do your own research, look into things that you actually care about and are interested in as an individual person, and get into the game on NFTs.
Love it. Well, I'm so glad that Gary chose you to lead Vayner NFT, that he has put himself and his team in a position to not just talk about it, not just serve clients, but create great things around it. I think a lot of people have been grateful for the model that has been built around VeeFriends, and very expectant in terms of what else is to come. So thank you for joining me for this. And for anybody that's watching this live or that sees the archive, thank you for your attention. I'll be back again with another one of these live streamed interviews very soon.